Hi guys, welcome to my channel where I film videos once every few months apparently. My name is Katya and today I was gonna talk to you about sleep training. Sleep training was one of the best things we've done as parents, and I know sleep training is a little bit controversial. Some people don't like the word sleep training, some people are against that, and if you're one of those people then you probably shouldn't be watching this video because sleep training really worked for us. So, and I'm assuming if you're watching this video then you want to know about sleep training. So I have a little baby here. There is my daughter, her name is Sophia, and she just turned 11 months. We started sleep training when she was 5 months old, so for the last 6 months we've been sleeping great, she's been sleeping great, and we've just had the happiest life ever when it comes to sleeping and resting. So Sophia is going to be in the room with me while I'm filming, so it could be maybe loud or I can be distracted, so I apologize about that. But I feel like it's a little bit important for me to talk about us pre-sleep training. So if you're not interested in that story, then I'll just put like a timestamp on the screen where I actually talk about training. So we started sleep training when she was 5 months old, and before then she was sleeping pretty fine up until she turned 4 months. So when we brought her home, I made sure that she knows day from night. So during the day we never turned the blinds, and she would go to sleep around 10 p.m. and she would wake up twice or 3 times a night to breastfeed. And it was fine with me because I thought that's how it's supposed to be, and I do think that's how it's supposed to be, so it was fine. And then as soon as she hit 4 months old, she entered that 4-month sleep regression. And when she entered 4-month sleep regression, I thought I was not gonna get my baby back because she was waking up every hour and a half, and that was happening throughout the whole night. And since she did have good nights before, I saw how happy she was during the day, and she was more rested. I was more rested, my fiance was more rested, so everyone was happier when she was sleeping better. And the most importantly is that she was happier when she was sleeping better. I started looking into sleep training programs, and the one that I found was Taking Care Baby sleeping program. I'm gonna link her Instagram in the description box so you can check it out, but she has an amazing program, and I followed everything the way she suggested, and it worked wonders. And I will talk a little bit about how we sleep train. I obviously don't want to give you everything that she shared with us, people that purchased the program, because she worked hard, and I do think that you should be paying for somebody else's work. But I will just give you, I guess, the basics of that sleep training so you can see if that was something that will work for you. So I do believe that there is no sleep training without crying. So there will be crying involved, but the difference between sleep training with taking care of babies is that it's sleep training with reassurance that parents are there. So you never leave the baby for a long time to cry, and you always show the baby that you are there. So, and then the other thing is, when I was thinking about baby crying, I thought that she's already crying either way. I'm holding her, she's crying during the day because she's tired. So I was thinking few days of her crying while we're training her will help her in the long run, and that's exactly what happened. So the basics of the sleep training is that you set a good nighttime routine. We've had a nighttime routine since Sophia was born, which includes bath, like lullaby songs, book, lotioning, and then swaddling and putting her to sleep. Well, that's how we started in the beginning, and pretty much every night that's what we were doing. So another thing that that program provided is this little sleep chart. So basically what you're doing, you're just putting down the times when you put your baby into bed and the times that you pop in on your baby. So the main thing of the sleeping, oh, Bunny's so cute. So the main thing of this sleep training is that you pop in on your baby every 15 minutes. You start with 5 minutes and then 10 minutes and then 15 minutes until 6 a.m. And it sounds horrible. You would think that, oh my god, my baby will never sleep and then she will be crying or he will be crying until 6 a.m. But probably it's not gonna be like that because baby will eventually fall asleep. So keeping a chart like this is very good because you know, the next day you remember what happened the night before because you're probably tired, you're like all delusional, you don't understand what's happening. So I'll just give you an example of our first few nights, and keep in mind that by the time I purchased this program, I thought that Sophia will never sleep. She was doing so bad that I thought that that's definitely not gonna work for us, and I actually did not really believe that it would happen. I didn't believe that my baby could sleep 11-12 hours a night, and she's sleeping 11-12 hours a night now. We're going to bed at 7 p.m. and she's up and at like 6:30, 7 a.m. So just few examples of what our first few nights looked like. So I started at putting her to bed at 8 p.m. and then I noticed that earlier I put her to bed, longer she sleeps, and she usually just wakes up at 6:30 either way, so I figured why not put her down earlier so she can sleep a little bit longer. So our first night I put her down at 8, and then at 8:05 I came in to check on her first time. You go into their room for no longer than 10 seconds. So you just go in there and you say, hey baby, mommy's here, I love you so very much, it's time for you to sleep, good night. Then my second pop-in was 10 minutes later, and it was at 8:15, and then it was 15 minutes later, and then it was every 15 minutes starting from now on. And then the last time I checked on her at 8:55, so she was crying for 55 minutes, and I remember it was being difficult, but at the same time I just thought that she was gonna cry with me on my hands either way. So, and I knew that I was doing it for her so she can have a very, very good night's sleep. Actually, last time I popped in on her was 8:55, but she did fall asleep at 9:15. So I guess when it was time, look at all your snacks here. So I guess when it was time for me to pop in on her, she was kind of like starting to fall asleep and she wasn't crying that much, so I didn't have to go and, you know, I knew that me going into the room will actually probably make her more angry and upset her more. And then she did not wake up until 2:30. So that was her first time waking up. Come here. So that was her first time waking up at 2:30 a.m. And then as soon as she wakes up, you start everything over. You go into the room in 5 minutes, and then in 10 minutes, and then in 15 minutes. And that's what I did. First time I went to the room, again, she woke up at 2:30. My first pop-in was at 2:35, second at 2:45, and I was supposed to go in 15 minutes later, but she did fall asleep. And her second time she woke up was at 3:35, and I didn't even go into her room to check on her because I guess she just woke up, cried a little bit, and went back to sleep. So first night was actually pretty good, and I did not expect her to be so good because she was waking up every hour and a half previously. So her second night was actually worse than the first night, and that's what I wrote right here. So she went to bed at 8:10, and then I checked on her 5, 10, 15 minutes until 9:25, and at 9:30 she finally fell asleep. Her first time she woke up was at 2:20, and then I did the same thing until 2:50, and then at 2:50 she finally fell asleep. Second time she woke up was at 2:30, and then she fell back asleep, and then she woke up at 3:55. 3:30, did I say 3:30 or 2:30? And the third time 3:55, and then again she woke up in the morning at 6:40. So that was our second night. Our third night, I'm put over here that it went great, but mentally it was the most difficult night for me because when I put her to bed, I knew that I was gonna leave her there and she was gonna cry, and I knew that I'm doing it purposely. Like I know she's gonna cry and I'm still doing it. She went to bed at 8, and I checked on her at 8:05, and then when I had to go in second time, she was already asleep. And she woke up first time at 5:51, and then I didn't even have to go and check on her. She fell back asleep and she woke up at 6:20. So it happened for us on the third night. And then for a few more weeks, her wake schedule would be, she would wake up 2 or 3 times a night, but she didn't need me to go back to sleep. And I think that's the actual purpose of sleep training, is that your baby doesn't need you any longer to rock them back to sleep, and they actually can go back to sleep by themselves. And so that was like the most amazing thing ever. So that's basically the sleep training that we did, and I feel like maybe for a month or 2 months I still didn't feel like we like got it, you know. I still like would wake up in the middle of the night and she would wake up, and it didn't happen that like on the first, like, I don't know, like after week 1 she just slept and never woke up. She still woke up, but she just knew how to put herself back to sleep. And so like one more thing that I think I should mention is breastfeeding. So this program suggests that you might drop breastfeeding right away. I couldn't do it. I couldn't stop breastfeeding her right away. I think like she needed me, and I felt like it would help me sleep train her. I thought it would be like a good transition for me, so I would still maybe hang out with her in the middle of the night for a little bit. But so when you go breastfeeding, you can't go while your baby's crying. So let's say I breastfed twice. I breastfed once before I would go to bed, so around 11 p.m. and I would breastfeed second time somewhere in the middle of the night because I thought she was hungry, which she was not hungry. But you know, like you're always as a mother, I feel like worried that you don't feed your baby enough. So that's what I would do. I would breastfeed her once before my bedtime and once in the middle of the night. What I would do is, if she was not sleeping yet or woke up at like 10 or 11 p.m., I would wait for her to fall back asleep, and then I would go in and I would dream feed her. So I would pick her up from the bed and I would put her on my breast and I would feed her, and then I would put her back to sleep, like without really waking her up. And in the middle of the night at 2 or 3 a.m., what I would do is I would set up my alarm and I would wake up and I would do exactly the same thing. I would make sure that she's not crying when I go in, because what happens is when you go in, when your baby's crying to breastfeed, baby will think that crying worked and you came in and to rescue her and to get her and pick her up. So that's why you should wait either until your baby falls asleep or until your baby stops crying, and that's when you walk into the room when your baby is not crying, so there is no association between your baby's crying and mommy's coming in. One more, Sophie, that's the most important thing. So the most important thing is do not start sleep training until you are 100% ready to sleep train, because you will just confuse your baby. And that's what I've done when Sophia was around 4 months old and I tried to sleep train her on my own without really reading into it. What I did is I was so tired and I would think, okay, she's crying. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ignore her for 5 minutes, and I would ignore her for 5 minutes, and that wouldn't work. And I would be like, all right, so now what I would do is I would walk in and put my hand on her chest so she will know I'm here, and she would fall asleep. So what I did is I just confused her. So she kept crying, and I was just like switching my strategies from one to another. So eventually I would always come in when she was crying. So she kept crying all the time. So yeah, that's what I think is, do not start sleep training until you are 100% ready to sleep train. But if you are ready, just stick to it and do it, and then you will sleep like 12 hours if you want to. If you go to bed with your baby, you can sleep for 12 hours and it's just amazing. And since we sleep trained her, which was 6 months ago, she woke up in the middle of the night maybe 2 or 3 times where I actually had to go in and check on her. But that's totally normal. That's just a human being who just needs something, you know. Like I probably had more like nightmares since then, and had to wake up in the middle of the night and like even wake my fiance and tell him that like I'm scared or something, you know. So that's your baby who is, you know, maybe had a poop, or, you know, maybe like a nightmare or something. So that's normal. But again, it only happened like 3 times since we started training her, and that's amazing. I think that's it. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope that if you were like on a fence if you should sleep train or you shouldn't, you 100% should. Just stick to it and do it, and then you're gonna have the best sleep. Your baby will be happy, and I think that's the best thing, honestly. Like, since I had a baby, that's the best decision that we've ever made. And whatever sleeping program you choose, it's fine, you know, they all work. Just the most important thing is stick to it and believe it, and believe in your baby, and don't doubt your baby, and do not confuse your baby. So just stick to the program. And the one that we had, Taking Care of Baby program, I think it's amazing, and she gives so many tips, and she gives so much helpful advice, and it's a great program. So I highly recommend that one. Well, anyways, I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope maybe it gave you this courage to actually move forward with sleep training. I'm sure you will do amazing, and I hope you have a supportive partner, your husband, whoever you have with you. I hope they will be supportive and they will help you. I hope this video was helpful. If you like it, I'm glad. You can give it a thumbs up, or you can subscribe to my channel, whatever you want, really. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you in my next video if I ever make one. Bye! Say bye-bye. Can you say bye-bye? Aw, so sweet. Bye-bye. And also, when I was thinking, oh, that's yummy. Can I have some? Tastes like nothing.